Have you ever imagined stepping into a city that feels less like a destination and more like another world, where history and modern life collide so powerfully that every corner seems alive with stories? Welcome to Moscow, the heart of Russia, a capital that dazzles with its contrasts, overwhelms with its energy, and surprises even the most seasoned traveler. Russia itself is the largest country on Earth, stretching across 11 time zones, covering more than 17 million square kilometers, and home to about 145 million people. And yet within this immense land, Moscow alone holds over 12 million residents, making it not only the largest city in Russia, but also the second most populous city in Europe, after Istanbul. This density gives Moscow a rhythm and urgency that is hard to describe until you experience it yourself. Life here is fast, bold, and unapologetically stylish. The first thing that strikes visitors is the scale. Boulevards so wide you could land a plane on them, buildings so monumental they seem built to intimidate, and shopping centers that feel like miniature cities. When you step into Red Square, the most iconic place in Moscow, the sheer spectacle is almost overwhelming. To one side stands the Kremlin, with its red brick fortifications and ancient towers still serving as the political center of Russia. To another rises St. Basil's Cathedral, with its candy-colored onion domes that look like something out of a fairy tale. The cobbled ground beneath your feet has been walked on by emperors, generals, revolutionaries, and modern presidents. This is not just a square, it is a living theater of Russian history and identity. But Moscow is not just about its past. Look to the horizon, and you will see the futuristic towers of Moscow City, the financial district where glass skyscrapers twist toward the clouds, reflecting the ambition of a country eager to show the world it belongs to the future. These towers stand in contrast to Stalin's Seven Sisters, colossal skyscrapers built in the mid-20th century that loom like Gothic guardians over the skyline. Between them lie quiet courtyards, golden-domed churches, and leafy boulevards that remind you Moscow is also a city of neighborhoods, families, and ordinary lives. The Moskva River snakes through the capital, cutting it in two and creating a natural stage for the city's grandeur. Bridges arch across it gracefully, illuminated at night, their lights dancing on the water below. Strolling along the embankments in summer, you see couples, families, and groups of friends enjoying the long days, the air filled with music from street performers and the laughter of children. This mix of grandeur and intimacy is what makes Moscow unique. It is both monumental and human at the same time. Daily life in Moscow is as fascinating as its architecture. Cafes spill out onto sidewalks, restaurants serve everything from traditional Russian dishes to the most avant-garde global cuisines, and nightlife is electric. Clubs stay open until sunrise, with music spilling into the streets, while theaters and concert halls remind visitors of the city's deep cultural roots. Moscow is a place where the ballet and opera are still revered, where galleries showcase both avant-garde art and classic masterpieces, and where ordinary people discuss literature as passionately as they do politics. One of the most defining features of Moscow life is style. Russians, especially Muscovites, take enormous pride in their appearance. Even on a weekday morning, the streets look like runways, with women in elegant dresses and high heels, and men in tailored suits and polished shoes. Fashion here is not just clothing, it is identity, confidence, and sometimes even defiance. People know how to turn heads, and they enjoy doing so. This strong sense of presentation is reinforced by a growing culture of photography. It is common to see professional photographers on the streets offering quick photo sessions, while others transform city squares and bridges into open-air studios. But honestly, with Moscow's architecture, every street already feels like a photo shoot backdrop. The people themselves reflect Russia's Slavic heritage. Fair skin, sharp cheekbones, blonde or dark hair, and striking blue or green eyes that seem to pierce through you. Beauty in Moscow is celebrated, not hidden. and you will quickly notice how much pride people take in their looks. But it is not only about appearance. There is also a cultural confidence that comes from education, resilience, and history. Moscow is a young city demographically. Walking the streets, you see mostly people under 50. Older generations are less visible, often using the metro or living in quieter parts of the city. This gives Moscow a vibrant, youthful energy, a sense that the city never sleeps and never slows down. Speaking of the metro, no visit to Moscow would be complete without experiencing its subway system. With over 200 stations across 12 lines, it is one of the largest and busiest in the world, moving nearly 9 million people every day. But what truly sets it apart is the design. Built during the Soviet era, many stations resemble underground palaces, with marble columns, chandeliers, mosaics, and statues. They were designed not just as transit points, but as symbols of Soviet pride, showcasing that beauty should be accessible to the people. Today, stepping into these stations feels like walking into a museum. And it is little wonder many call the Moscow Metro the most beautiful in the world. Transport above ground is equally impressive. Highways are lined with luxury cars, Mercedes, BMWs, Audis, and occasionally Ferraris or Lamborghinis. It is a display of wealth that coexists with Soviet-era apartment blocks and modern skyscrapers. Streets like Tverskaya and Petrovka showcase the city's elite lifestyle, filled with high-end boutiques, gourmet restaurants, and dazzling nightlife. By evening, these boulevards glow with neon lights, creating an atmosphere of energy and affluence that rivals any global capital. Despite its size, Moscow is surprisingly safe. People walk the streets late at night without fear. Cafes and bars remain lively into the early hours, and the city has developed an atmosphere of freedom. Russians are known for their resilience, but also for their hospitality. While Muscovites may seem reserved at first, once you break through the initial formality, you discover warmth, generosity, and a genuine curiosity about the world. What also makes Moscow unique is how cosmopolitan it has become. While Russian is the dominant language, English is widely understood in restaurants, hotels, and tourist areas, making it easier for visitors to navigate. This multiculturalism is reflected in the food scene, where alongside traditional dishes like borscht and pelmeni, you will find sushi bars, Italian trattorias, French bakeries, and Middle Eastern grills. Moscow is not afraid to embrace the world, while at the same time remaining unmistakably Russian. The seasons shape life here dramatically. Winters are long, cold, and harsh, with temperatures regularly dropping below -20 degrees Celsius. Yet, this is when the city feels most magical, with snow covering the domes of cathedrals and Christmas markets filling Red Square with lights, music, and warm, mulled wine. Summers are short, but vibrant. People flood into parks, wear light clothing, sit in outdoor cafes, and enjoy concerts in the open air. The contrast between winter and summer gives Moscow two very different faces, and both are unforgettable. Housing in Moscow reflects its massive population. With 12 million residents packed into just 2,561 square kilometers, apartment blocks dominate the skyline. These range from Soviet-era housing to sleek new developments with gyms, pools, and panoramic views. Rents in central Moscow can be high, with a two-bedroom apartment easily costing over $1,500 per month. But many still dream of living near the heart of the city, close to its theaters, shops, and cultural treasures. Life here is not easy. It demands hard work and perseverance, but the rewards are equally great. Moscow is not just Russia's capital. It is its soul, a city where tradition and ambition collide, where every street hides a story, and where energy pulses day and night. And yet, as dazzling as Moscow is, it is not Russia's only jewel. To truly understand the spirit of this country, one must also journey northwest toward the Baltic coast, where another city stands ready to tell its own story. A city built on canals and dreams, a city that serves as Russia's window to Europe. That city is St. Petersburg, and it is there that Russia's elegance, history, and artistry come to life in ways no other place can match. St. Petersburg is a city unlike any other in Russia, a place where elegance flows through every canal, and where history seems to whisper through its palaces and boulevards. Founded in 1703 by Peter the Great, this city was not born out of centuries of organic growth like Moscow, but out of vision and determination. Peter wanted a window to Europe, and on the swamps near the Gulf of Finland he built his dream. Today that dream stands as Russia's second-largest city, home to nearly 6 million people, and one of the most captivating urban landscapes in the world. Unlike Moscow's imposing grandeur, St. Petersburg has a softer, more romantic charm. The city is laced with canals, earning it the nickname the Venice of the North. More than 300 bridges span its waterways, each with its own character, and walking across them, you feel the gentle breeze from the Neva River as it cuts through the heart of the city. In summer, when the sun barely sets, these bridges become gathering places for young people, couples, and tourists who stay out late to watch the drawbridges rise, a nightly ritual that is as much performance as it is necessity. One of the city's most magical phenomena is the white nights. From late May to mid-July, the sun never truly disappears. The sky remains a dusky blue even at midnight, bathing the city in a dreamlike glow. During this period, St. Petersburg comes alive with festivals, concerts, and street performances. People dance in the streets, music fills the air, and the entire city seems unwilling to sleep. This natural spectacle, caused by the city's proximity to the Arctic Circle, turns St. Petersburg into a fairy tale stage where time itself feels suspended. Walking along Nevsky Prospect, the city's main avenue, you immediately sense the cultural heartbeat of St. Petersburg. This boulevard stretches nearly 5 kilometers, lined with palaces, shops, cafes, and theaters. By day, it is busy with shoppers and workers. By night, it transforms into a glittering promenade of lights, luxury cars, and well-dressed crowds. Nevsky Prospect is more than a street. It is the pulse of the city, where history and modernity meet, where Dostoevsky once walked, and where today's youth gather in fashionable cafes. Architecture here is breathtaking. The Winter Palace, once home to the Russian Tsars, now forms part of the Hermitage Museum, one of the largest and most prestigious art collections in the world. Step inside, and you find yourself in a maze of over 1,000 rooms, filled with masterpieces by Rembrandt, Da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Van Gogh. The palace itself is a work of art, its green and white baroque facade stretching along the Neva River like a crown of the empire. Across the city, churches rise in all their splendor, the most famous being the Church of the Savior on Spilled Blood, with its multicolored domes and intricate mosaics, built on the spot where Tsar Alexander II was assassinated. Unlike the futuristic towers of Moscow, St. Petersburg's buildings lean heavily on European styles. Baroque, neoclassical, and Renaissance influences dominate the skyline, giving the city a refined and romantic atmosphere. Life in St. Petersburg feels slower than in Moscow, yet no less vibrant. People spend long afternoons in parks, reading books or chatting with friends. Families stroll along the riversides, while street musicians fill the air with violin and accordion melodies. Art is everywhere, from small galleries tucked into courtyards to grand theaters like the Mariinsky, where ballet and opera performances continue to uphold traditions that are world-renowned. The cultural life here is so rich that it has shaped generations, producing some of the world's greatest writers, composers, and artists. Tolstoy, Pushkin, and Tchaikovsky all walked these streets, leaving behind a spirit that still lingers in the city's air. But St. Petersburg is not only about the past. It is also a modern, thriving metropolis, with over 40 universities, including the prestigious St. Petersburg State University, The city is filled with young people creating an atmosphere of innovation and energy. Cafes overflow with students discussing art, politics, and science, while tech startups and research institutes make their mark in the city's economy. Education is highly valued, and literacy rates exceed 99%, with women playing a particularly strong role in academia and professional life. Women in St. Petersburg, much like in Moscow, are often admired for their striking beauty. Fair skin, high cheekbones, blue or green eyes, but what makes them truly remarkable is their confidence and independence. Here, women are not only celebrated for their looks, but also respected for their intelligence, education, and ambition. It is common to see women leading businesses, teaching at universities, or performing on stage with equal strength and elegance. This balance of style and substance has become part of the city's identity. Daily life has its challenges, of course. The weather can be unforgiving, with long winters marked by gray skies, snow, and icy winds from the Baltic Sea. Rain is frequent, and residents often joke that carrying an umbrella is as essential as carrying a phone. Housing is expensive compared to average incomes, with central apartments often costing upwards of 80,000 rubles per month, far beyond the reach of many locals who earn less than half that. As in Moscow, families often need multiple incomes to maintain a comfortable lifestyle. Yet despite these challenges, people embrace the rhythm of their city with joy. Cafes are always full, theaters sell out, and festivals pack the squares. Transportation here is efficient, with a metro system as grand as Moscow's, decorated with marble, mosaics, and chandeliers that turn underground commutes into journeys through art. High-speed trains connect St. Petersburg to Moscow in just under 5 hours, making it easy to live, work, or play between the two great cities. St. Petersburg's proximity to Europe also shapes its character. Just a few hours' drive from Finland and Estonia, the city feels like a gateway between East and West. This location allows locals to travel easily to European capitals, and it brings a constant flow of international visitors, giving the city a cosmopolitan flavor that sets it apart from the rest of Russia. It is this blend, Russian soul with European grace, that makes St. Petersburg so enchanting. As night falls, the city lights reflect in the waters of the Neva. Luxury cars roll slowly down Nevsky Prospect, while couples walk hand in hand under the glow of street lamps. Music drifts from open windows, laughter echoes from hidden courtyards, and the city seems to pulse with a quiet, timeless rhythm. If Moscow is Russia's power, St. Petersburg is its poetry. Together, they represent two sides of the same vast nation. One bold, commanding, and relentless, the other graceful, cultured, and contemplative. To experience both is to understand the dual spirit of Russia itself. Life in these cities is not easy, but it is rich, layered, and unforgettable. Moscow shows you strength, St. Petersburg shows you beauty, and between them, they reveal a country that, in 2025, feels not like Europe, not like Asia, but like another planet entirely. Fascinating, complex, and endlessly worth discovering. Like, subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss new videos.